Let me tell you, if you'd asked me 5 years ago where I'd be today, I never would have guessed I'd end up at the center of $1 million showdown on a patch of Montana lakefront. Least of all with a woman who smells like expensive perfume and old corruption. But that's exactly what happened. And if you stick with me, you'll see how a $5,000 fishing shack, once written off as a rotten shed by the queen of the HOA, turned into a multi-million-dollar war zone, with me as the last man standing. You know that moment in life when everything turns upside down so fast you're left blinking, wondering if you got dropped into somebody else's story? That was me, staring down Vivian Blackwood, the kind of woman who's never been told no, standing on my warped old dock and sneering, "You'll be begging us to take it back within a year." She called me trailer trash, right to my face. Her voice echoed over the water, all smug and sickly sweet. But what she didn't know, what nobody knew, was that karma takes notes. And karma loves a good twist. See, 6 years back, my life hit rock bottom. I was 34, fresh off a divorce that left me with half my savings, a pile of trust issues, and 15 grand in cash. The last gift my grandfather left me with a note that said, "Buy something that makes you happy, son." I didn't know what happiness cost, but I sure knew it was more than 15 grand. So I did the only thing that made sense when the world goes sideways. I started driving. Montana pulled me in like a magnet. All big skies and air, so clean you feel like you could live forever. I found myself circling this little lake, Pine Lake, where the water was still, the trees were older than the highways, and it felt like you could breathe out there. That's when I spotted a sun-faded for sale sign, half swallowed by wild roses, marking 50 feet of lakefront and a cabin that looked like it had been slapped together by beavers on a bender. The dock groaned, the roof sagged, and the place smelled like cedar and old memories. It was perfect. The seller was Martha Kingsley, 78, with hands twisted by arthritis and eyes sharp as fishing hooks. She told me her husband built that place in '52, right after the war, and every stick and stone in it had a story. Cash only, she said, no questions. She just wanted it to go to someone who'd love it, didn't care about fixing it up or tearing it down. I was halfway in love with the place already, when the sound of expensive tires and perfume snapped me out of it. Vivian Blackwood rolled up in a gleaming white Escalade, all designer jeans and hard edges. She swept in with her realtor badge swinging, brandishing her clipboard and talking in a tone so sweet it could rot your teeth. "Martha, honey, I see you're entertaining visitors." She sized me up, work boots, beat-up truck, not a trust fund kid in sight. That's when she dropped the bomb. There are new HOA requirements, architectural upgrades, landscaping, the whole area is being improved. 50, 60 grand worth of improvements, minimum. Martha's face went pale. I knew then and there two things. One, I was buying this property, and two, Vivian was going to be a problem. I moved in and learned fast that in small towns, the real drama doesn't happen at the bar. It happens at the HOA meeting. Certified mail, emergency notices, and a room full of folding chairs set the stage. Vivian stood up front, queen of the community center, running a slideshow that made my little cabin look like the county dump. She called it a crisis, my non-compliant structure, and announced $50,000 in repairs and $500 daily fines. Margaret in the back, bless her heart, piped up, "Didn't that cabin come before the HOA?" Vivian just smiled, ice cold. All properties must conform, regardless of age. But I'd done my homework. I walked up to the front, holding a folder full of original deeds and property law, and laid it out for everyone. My cabin was grandfathered in, built 66 years before the HOA existed. Montana law couldn't be clearer. And I added, the development never filed an environmental impact study. In fact, the whole HOA might be illegal. The room erupted. Vivian's mask slipped for the first time, and I could smell her panic through that expensive perfume. She tried intimidation, threats, everything short of sending a hitman. My water line was accidentally cut by Derek Blackwood and his landscaping crew. I put up cameras, lots of them. Learned that when folks start playing dirty, documentation is your best friend. Cease and desist letters started arriving, full of legal jargon. Except Derek, bless his pea brain, wasn't a real lawyer, just plain dress up. I confirmed with the Montana bar. Practicing law without a license is a felony. Filed that one away. I poured everything into fixing the place right. Cedar shakes, new plumbing, expanded deck. I saved every receipt, permit, and inspection like I was prepping for an audit. Then, one morning, bright orange survey stakes showed up, mysteriously moving my property line 10 feet inward. My dock was suddenly community waterfront. I called in Bill Henderson, a real surveyor who'd been mapping Montana land since before satellites. He just laughed. "Son, those markers are so far off, you actually own more land than you thought." That's when things got really crazy. See, my deed included riparian rights, permanent dock, water access, exclusive fishing, rights that trumped anything Vivian could dream up. At the next meeting, Bill laid out the truth, and you could feel the whole neighborhood shift. Folks started questioning everything. Margaret told me later that Vivian had been buying up properties on the cheap, after harassing owners with violation notices until they sold. Her realty company then swooped in and flipped them at a profit. Classic shakedown, dressed up as community management. So Vivian ramped up the pressure. She claimed my septic system was polluting the lake. Never mind, it had just been professionally inspected. The real pollution, as it turned out, was coming from the HOA's landscaping company. I hired an independent lab, shared the clean results everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, even TikTok. My shoreline, pristine. HOAs, not so much. That blew up quick. The news got wind, the health department showed up, and suddenly Vivian was screaming at neighbors by the pool, confessing to a $50 million resort deal she'd been quietly angling for. And then Martha, God bless her, called with the bombshell. She'd found Harold's old papers, including the original 1950 deed, with a reversion clause buried in the fine print. If the property was abandoned for 18 months or condemned, it reverted to the county. Vivian hadn't just been trying to annoy me. She'd been trying to force me to abandon so the county could snatch it, then sell it at auction to her developer pals. Her brother-in-law was even listed on the blueprints for a hotel and restaurant complex, projected to make $50 million. For months. That's how much time I had left before the abandonment trigger would hand my property to the county. So I got organized, turned my back room into mission control, walls covered in documents, timelines, photos. Martha became my secret weapon, bringing in every scrap of evidence her late husband ever kept. Then I called Rebecca Santos, a property rights attorney with a wall full of Goliaths she'd taken down. She put together a strategy, harassment complaints, a challenge to the HOA's very existence, and a demand for a full financial audit. Our little deck meetings turned into community organizing. Turns out, I wasn't the only one Vivian had targeted. Frank, Margaret's husband, brought a notebook with every violation they'd gotten, 67 in 18 months, while their neighbors got 0. Then David Blair, a forensic accountant, dug through the books. $340,000 siphoned from maintenance fees to Blackwood Realty. Fake invoices, non-existent services, Derek's legal consulting. The works. The press got involved. Sally Blair from Channel 8, sharp as a tack, camera rolling. We held our story back for maximum impact, timing it right before Vivian's big HOA meeting where she planned to boot me once and for all. Meanwhile, I played the part of the beaten man, let rumors fly about selling, about giving up. But I was stacking the deck, waiting for Vivian to make her final, desperate move. She did. Sent Derek to my door with a business proposition, $100,000 cash, tax-free, walk away and make it all go away. I almost laughed, because if someone offers you that much to walk, you know you're sitting on a gold mine. I recorded every word, including Vivian's not-so-veiled threats about property taxes, condemnation, and mysterious accidents. Extortion, bribery, and conspiracy, all on tape. She doubled down, power cuts, bogus health inspections, even Derek playing cop, delivering fake court summons in a sheriff's uniform. Security cameras caught it all. Then they started sending in private security, armed rent-a-cops in tactical vests, shining flashlights through my windows at 2 a.m. Margaret tried bringing cookies over. They told her to stay away for her own safety. She told them exactly where to stick it. Police calls ramped up, anonymous reports of domestic violence, all coached by Derek, all proven false by body cam footage. Even the cops got sick of the game. Meanwhile, anonymous tips started tanking my credit. My mortgage nearly fell through. And still, Vivian wasn't done. Someone dumped chemicals near my dock, killed a bunch of fish, called the EPA to blame me. Security footage showed Derek's truck right there at the scene. Finally, Vivian hired a real lawyer, tried for an injunction claiming I was a threat to community peace. The filing fee? Paid out of HOA accounts. Even her surveillance operation got exposed. Law enforcement grade gear, phone taps, internet monitoring. At this point, the whole neighborhood was ready to explode. The annual HOA meeting was a circus. Cameras, county officials, half the town. Vivian made her final play, projecting photos of my dangerous cabin and calling for a vote to declare it abandoned. That's when I stood up, with Martha in tow, holding the original deed, and Sally Blair's crew rolling tape. We dropped the reversion clause bomb. Sally played her 6-month investigation on the projector, Derek vandalizing my place, Vivian coaching neighbors to lie, financial records showing $340,000 gone. Then came the coup de grace, Vivian on tape, offering me a bribe and laying out the whole scheme. Commissioner Williams all but jumped out of his seat. Deputies moved in, and just like that, Vivian's empire fell. She and Derek faced federal charges. The HOA got dissolved, every stolen dollar returned, and the county government learned that stealing from folks who know how to fight back is a bad idea. I kept the cabin, turned it into an environmental education center, sold the development rights to the county, used the money to set up a fund for homeowners fighting HOA corruption across Montana. Martha became the fund advisor. Margaret runs the community potlucks, and the old garden is now filled with stones marking every hard lesson we learned. I started speaking about property rights at meetings, turned from an angry veteran to an accidental advocate. The last laugh? Vivian's realty company is bankrupt, her reputation ruined, the hotel deal dead. Kids fish from my dock, neighbors share their own stories, and somewhere in California, another desperate homeowner is calling for help. I'm packing my truck for a road trip, because justice isn't an accident, and sometimes the best things happen when you finally decide to stop letting bullies win. So what do you think? Did justice get served, or does the system need fixing? Drop your own HOA war stories in the comments. I read every one, and who knows? Maybe I'll show up in your town next, ready to fight the good fight.